That's Chopin's Nocturne, Opus 27, number 2 in D flat major. And, that's where this passage is right now. I haven't actually worked it out yet. And I want to be honest with you about something before we move further, because it actually matters for context. I sight read pretty well. And I sight read this just about maybe 20 minutes ago before I started filming this, just to make sure that this is what I wanted to actually make this video about. And I had most of the notes actually pretty, immediately. But if you were listening casually, you might think what you just heard was basically fine. And it wasn't really fine. And that's the trap that I'd like to talk about, because it isn't only my trap. The moment that you can play the note is the most dangerous part in learning a piece. And it feels like a rival, but it isn't. Everything that makes a passage reliable, it happens after that moment. And most people, they stop right there without even realizing that they've stopped. So this isn't me learning the notes. This is the final part that comes after that, actually. Nothing gets edited out of this one. It's not really the final part, I should specify. It's just the next part that comes afterwards. And I'm not going to do much editing in this video, so if something doesn't really work the first time, you're going to see that too. Now, before I change anything, I have to know what actually failed. Not just that it was messy, which it was, but not just that I need more practice too. I need something that I can point at. So I'm going to play it again, slower this time, and my only job this time is to just notice. So a lot of that was okay, except it seemed like there was this passage where this was not together. See, I have to find a good grouping for these. So this should start on the D flat, so the right hand's E flat should start on the left hand's D flat. Looks like we should have 5 notes in the right hand total. So this should maybe be 2 blocks, and then 2 notes, and then 3 notes. So and then this after that kind of needs a little work too. So I see exactly where I need to actually work on this. See, I haven't actually named the fix, but this is a step that people tend to skip, because I haven't really named all of the components about it, but I have named where it is. And skipping it is why so much practice does nothing. If you don't really know what's broken, see, every repetition is just a guess, and most guesses are wrong. Usually 2 or maybe even 3 problems look separate, but they're not separate. One is causing the others. So you have to find that one. Now the problem gets smaller, and the instinct is to run the passage again from the top. That's almost always wrong, though. Most of the repetition goes to the parts that already work, and by the time you reach the hard part, your attention is gone. So I cut it down. I want the smallest piece of music that still has the problem in it. And sometimes that's just 2 bars. Oftentimes it's less. And sometimes it's just 1 hand change. Sometimes it's actually just 1 note into the next. So these are the three measures that I need to focus on. And it looks like the first moment is this turn that needs to happen in the right timing. Yeah, so I need to make sure that these notes know where to line up. Now, of course, the first one is tied. And then I can add the turn. I have to make sure that it starts right after the left hand's G flat. I have to make sure that I'm also crescendoing during that. So now, this needs to start with this D flat, and this is a set of 5 notes, but I'm kind of breaking it into a set of 2 groupings in the right hand, and then, so and this, now I'm doing it right, but before I was doing it kind of in a weird pattern. I have to recognize what this is. It's a chromatic scale, and then this goes chromatic up to the E flat, but then it becomes a D flat major scale, and then a little step in between the 4th and the 5th scale degree with an embellishment, and comes down on the 3rd. So So it's much better in the right hand, and now I need to think a little bit closer about the left hand. I'm going a little too fast for myself. Still have the linking wrong in both hands. It takes a little bit of time. That was almost it. So part of this also, it should always sound like the left hand is just flowing easily. It says sempre legato on the second measure. So I have to make sure that that's always coming across very easily. See, that one worked. And, the reason that I know that it worked, rather than thinking about, I got a lucky repetition that time, is that I could do it again. I was doing it at least 3 times there in a row. It took me a little bit of time, as you could tell, and thanks for sticking with me all the way through. But I could tell because I did it again on purpose. And that's the test. See, one good try can be luck, but being able to do it again is learning. And almost nobody does this next part. And that's why passages fall apart in performance, even after weeks of clean practice. If I only play this correctly under the correct conditions where I fixed it, that's the only place where it will work. Slowly, in isolation, warmed up, alone in the room. The moment anything changes, it comes back. So I have to stress it on purpose. So that might have been too much, but I want to push myself basically until the point that it breaks at, so that I really have to do something and fix it again. Mm. And now, see, I can figure out where I can kind of afford to take a little bit more time in the phrase musically. And it actually allows me more time technically to accomplish the things that didn't go so well the first time. So I'll start from the actual beginning of the second phrase. So, falling apart on any of those earlier was not really a setback, even though I was really going for it. I really thought I could do it. It's actually information. Otherwise, I wouldn't have really known until the day that it mattered, which is a little bit too late. And, today it can tell me exactly what tomorrow's session is going to be about. Rebuilding it into the piece has to be deliberate too, because a fixed passage sitting inside an unfixed context does not stay fixed. So better, not finished. See, I want to be precise about that because this is where people just declare victory and then they stop here. See, the passage, it went from not working at all to working under pretty controlled conditions and partly under pressure because there's a camera on. And that's actually one good session, but it's not really a completely solved passage. It becomes really solved when it survives a real test, maybe like 3 or 4 separate days, including days when I don't really feel like playing. Which isn't actually many days, but it is some days. See, tomorrow is what turns one good session into actual change. That becomes fun. I don't start this over from the beginning. I start at the stress test. That's where it actually broke today. See, if it holds up tomorrow, I'll give it 4 minutes and move on. If it doesn't hold, I go back to the isolated unit and I find what I missed. Then I leave it alone for a day because consolidation happens away from the piano, not always just at it. Coming back after a gap and finding that it still works is the only real evidence that you learned it rather than you just temporarily managed it. So, 6 steps, and that order really matters. So, first you have to play it cold. Then you have to diagnose specifically what happened. Then you have to cut it down to a small passage and then change just one thing about it. And then you have to test that under pressure. And then you have to put it back. Now, almost everything people call practice is just repeating something, no steps, no structure to it. And that's why people end up putting thousands of honest hours and never move forward. See, it's not about effort. The effort has nothing to aim at. If you want to run this on your own playing, I built a free tool and it actually runs right here on your phone. Or it can run on your iPad. It's an app. It walks you through these steps. You can just pick whatever passage that you're stuck on. The link for that app is in the description. It's free, by the way. And if you'd rather have somebody else actually watch you while you're doing this, like watch your hand while you're doing it, that's what I do with students. And there's a link in the description for that too. Subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.